Very good morning to Unity of Augusta here in the sanctuary and for everyone at home. Be still and know that I am God, says Psalms 46:10. So join me for just a moment to be still and to feel what you know in the stillness. And breathe again into this space. What is it that you know in the stillness? Call it out. Put it in the comments. What is it that you know?
Love.
Love. What else do you know?
Presence.
Presence.
Peace.
Peace. There are beautiful things, feelings, thoughts that reside in the stillness. Be still and know that I am God. Psalms 46 in its entirety says, God is our refuge and strength, ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear. Though the earth may give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging, there is a river whose stream makes glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her, she will not fail. God will help her at break of day. Nations are in uproar, kingdoms fall. God lifts his voice, the earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see what the Lord has done, the desolation he has brought on the earth. The Lord will make wars cease to the ends of the earth. The Lord breaks the bow and shatters the spear. The Lord burns the shield with fire. And the Lord says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. What a beautiful and poetic reading. To feel the vibration of those words. And we can choose to read and understand these words literally, or we can jump into them metaphysically. We can look at some of these key words and bring a personal, intimate meaning to this reading. We can bring it to this present day, to this very moment, and have it be meaningful to us today. And as we study this Bible in unity, we come to know that the places and people in the Bible represent states of consciousness in the mind of humanity. We learn as we study the Bible in unity and metaphysically that the Bible is the story of the evolution of the soul of humanity. The opening, the lifts, and the upward movement, the downward movement, the forward movement of our soul. So the tools that I use to understand these sacred writings is the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary and the Revealing Word. And the Revealing Word, they help with this understanding to gain deep insight to what this text means to us today, what it means to us in a personal and practical way, to live it out loud and in our everyday world. And as we learn, we embody all that the Bible tells us. Let's start with God. It's a big word, a very big word. God, in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, says it is the underlying, unchangeable principle behind everything that is. So we might say that God is principle that sustains all of life, all of creation. This source is all of life. It's the cause of all existence. You and me here today. It's the cause of everything. This source has no beginning and no end. So when we say that it is eternal, it is all that ever has been, all that ever will be, and all that is in this moment. It's hard to take that all in. It stretches my imagination and beyond. And whatever name we are comfortable using for that source, that essence, it's all that exists. We call it God, source, divine, universal wisdom, love, great spirit. All of those names mean the same thing. What name do you use for that power and presence that is greater than self, greater than our own mind? This power is the seen and the unseen. It is transcendence of all time. It is throughout all realms. It is that intimate time when we sit in that stillness and feel the peace and the love and the presence. When we feel that vibration of the divine that moves as us. It is that intimate, and yet it is transcendent to encompass all that is, all the universes, all creation, for all eternity. That's the power of the source, God. So we look also at the word Lord. This is a word that means our highest consciousness, our creative mind. This is the revealing of the union between us as humans and our source. That source from which we can never be separate, except in our own minds. You ever have that time in life when you felt that, you couldn't find God? God was there, it was us that had shut down, turned away, closed the door. Stop the flow. We have the ability to do that. And in this beautiful psalm, we hear the words, the waters roar and foam. The waters are the collection of thoughts. All of those thoughts that run through our mind, sometimes rampantly, sometimes distractingly, sometimes without order or meaning. All of those thoughts that distract us from everything that we're doing each day. And we can't quiet that because we're living, we're alive. And as long as we are alive, we will have thoughts. It will be an endless stream of thoughts. They come and they go. And we may have seen foaming waters in nature, in the natural waterways. That foam is caused by the natural process of leaves and debris and dying off. So in the fall, when the leaves fall to the ground as they disintegrate and die off, they might create foam on the water. Also, turbulence will cause foam on the water. I'm a kayaker, and every now and then get caught in a storm, and the waters do become foamy. It's the turbulence of the water. Our own thoughts may be turbulent at times. Our own thoughts might be foaming and raging. We might be in a time where we're shedding old thoughts, thoughts that we held to be true but aren't anymore. or never were, but we held them anyway. And we can take comfort in knowing that the presence of the divine sustains us. Our thoughts, whatever direction they go in, we are the caretakers of those thoughts. We also hear about the mountains crumbling into the waters, and the mountains are very high thoughts and consciousness. Those evolved thoughts, those spiritual truth thoughts. It's the spiritual power that moves in us, that lifts our thoughts from the everyday, ordinary human thoughts to that high vibrational spiritual thought. We also hear about nations, and nations are a collection of thoughts. Think of a nation, all the peoples of a nation. They vary in size, shape, color, education, skills, talents. So do our thoughts. Some of the thoughts that we carry are much more valuable than others. Some of our thoughts are not true thoughts. They're thoughts of low value. And so all of the people of the nation and our thoughts vary from happy and inspiring thoughts to thoughts of compassion and kindness, healing thoughts for one another and for ourselves, or not. Water is, and then we talk about the rivers. We heard in that beautiful song, the rivers. Rivers are streams, and water is healing. Waters are an element of nature that cleanses. It cleanses the earth. We cleanse our palate with a sip of water. Water soothes us. After a hard day of work, a dip in the hot tub, a jump in the pool or into the ocean, wherever you might live, water is soothing and healing. So let's take these words to heart. The Lord makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. The Lord breaks the bow and shatters the spear. The Lord burns the shield with fire. Now remember, the Lord is our highest consciousness. So what is it that's ending wars and breaking bows and melting spears? Is our thinking. The weapons of my thinking are shattered. The idea that God, some being, is going to swoop in, wave a magic wand over Russia or Ukraine or the Middle East or our own communities or our very own heart and cease all the turbulence within us, cease the turbulence in our communities and in our world, it's just not going to happen that way. There's nothing that's going to swoop in and rescue us from ourselves. The warring is a creation of humanity, and peace will be the manifestation of humanity. At creation, we were given dominion. We were given dominion over all of the earth, and so we were given dominion over our thoughts. It is by exercising that dominion and moving from the angst that we experience into the truth, the divine truth, seeing the presence of God in all beings, not just our spiritual community, not just the people that are easy to love, not just the people that think the way we do, look the way we do, believe the way we do, and love the way we do, all beings. When we can look at others and see that presence and power of love, God in all. When we can look at all aspects of creation, it's easy to see the beauty in a tree. It's more difficult to see it in that person who's challenging us with every button that they push, every action that they take. This is the entire chapter of Psalm 46. I thought it was important to have it in that context. And when we look at scriptures from the original Hebrew and Greek, and we look beyond the literal meaning, everything changes. When I read this psalm, it makes me accountable for what I do, what I say, what I think, and how I behave. When we look at this essence and energy that moves in the universe, I understand that it is always responding to me, to my energy, to you and your energy, to what you're thinking and feeling, what you're holding inside. The universe is responding to that. Peace, be still and know that I am God. So let's pause for a moment in that stillness again. What do you experience when you become still and know? What feelings do you have? And what do you know in the silence? For many of us, that stillness, that silence moves God from out here to in here. We can acknowledge and feel that presence so much more intimately. This is the empowering presence of God moving in us, expressing as us. God pressed into existence as you. God pressed into existence as all humanity. And when I become still, that's what I know. I also know that oneness of all. That thread that binds us together as all humanity. There is nothing that comes between each of us. There might be the idea of space between you as you sit in this sanctuary, as you sit next to someone at home or your four-legged pets. There's an illusion of space. But in divine truth, there is nothing that separates us except the human constructs that we allow to place between us and another. There's nothing between us and the divine. There is nothing between God. That is my skin. It is the life that flows through me. It is the breath that sustains me. It's the heartbeat that pulses as my life. Think about that. Take that in. That's the oneness with our Creator. In that stillness, we become present. We become present and aware of the rampant running of thoughts in our mind. We can become aware of the disorderly thinking, the chatter of our mind. We can become aware of the direction those thoughts have taken us. Oh my goodness, how easy it is to go from light, loving, kind thoughts to, well, not that. Anything that's the opposite of that. We can go from one extreme to another in a flash. And just as we can take that downward spiral in our thinking, guess what? We can take that upward spiral too. It's conscious. It's being aware. Those random thoughts can cause our higher consciousness to tumble very quickly. So we are called to be stewards of our thinking. So in that stillness, I can pause and I can know where my thoughts have traveled. I can shift them to those high vibrational thoughts of love and compassion and kindness. I can feel that in my body. When you think of love, can you feel it? When you think of peace, can't you feel it? My fingertips are tingling just at the mere thought of love and peace and harmony. So when we feel out of sorts, disconnected, we can check our physical self. If we're feeling depleted, we can check our diet, see what we're eating, improve it. We can check our sleep and make sure that we're getting enough of it. And oh yeah, we can check our thoughts and see where those places of resentment might be. That place of anger that might have been triggered as you went through social media or listened to the news maybe just a little bit too long. In that stillness and in that silence, we can release and let go. I'm able to sort through the stuff of life. And, life does have stuff because life happens. As we wake up in the morning, it goes in its own direction, and so we can sort through that. And we can commit to always seeing and allowing the divine spirit, God, to guide us to our highest good. But we have to listen. We have to pay attention. And we have to be willing to follow. So notice those relationships that are not bringing us to our highest and best. The relationships that are challenging. In the relationships, I grow in my self-awareness. I grow as a human being. I notice the impact of my words and my actions. In the challenges of practicing that presence and patience. In the challenge I see becoming expanded, a greater expression of God. So there are relationships that we might set aside because they're more than challenging to us. Perhaps we've become the bucket for someone's anger. Perhaps we've become the storehouse of someone's abuse, physical, emotional, or spiritual. Perhaps we have become servants to the demands and desires of others. To these we can say, I love you. And I'm going to put you aside so that you can heal all that's moving in you so that I can be whole in myself. So I'm not going to have dinner with you, but I'm going to love you. I'm going to love that divine part of you that wants to heal and move forward. I love you, and I love me too. Yes. As we learn to release thoughts and beliefs that are not our true divine, those thoughts about ourselves and those thoughts about others, self-worth, regardless of education, economics, social status, we all are of equal value. There is no one who is more valuable than another. We are all of equal value. Inspired by the stillness, what have you released and let go of? In that stillness and in that silence, I hear divine guidance. Oh my, the things we hear when we become still. Yes, we hear those beautiful sounds of nature, the birds chirping, the wind blowing, the leaves falling. We hear all of that. And for me, in 2007, I heard move to Dallas. Now I was a new grandma. Why on earth would I do that? And yet I knew that divine guidance was just that. It was divine. It was there to lead me to the next highest and best experience for my life. and it did not disappoint. It was divine guidance that said, become a minister. Oh, no, not me. Have you seen me? Do you know me? No, not me. And more recently, the divine guidance was, live life now. Move to South Carolina. Yes. So what have you heard as your divine guidance in the stillness? What has propelled you in a direction that maybe you didn't see coming, but is beautiful and right and perfect for you? In the stillness and the silence, we experience clarity. Even in the deep of the stillness and silence, I can mishear. I can misunderstand. So I have learned to say, make it so clear that I can't help but understand it. And guess what? That's exactly what I get. I get that guidance that is so clear, I can't help but understand it. So then I'm compelled to follow it. Because I hear it, and I know it, and I trust it. So forward I go. In that stillness and silence, we can feel and know that spark of your imagination and curiosity. It's something that we are moved out of as adults. You know, as children, they have an incredible sense of curiosity. Have you ever sat with a toddler? Why? 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 And we lose that as adults. It's taught out of us. How many of us have heard, because I said so? Yeah, we're taught not to be curious or imaginative. You know, the fairy tales, whether you think they're healthy and wholesome or not, it allows expanded imagination, to allow children time to let their minds wander. In those wandering minds are amazing seeds of creativity. Were you ever disciplined as a child in school? Oh my gosh, she's not here again. Don't know where she is, but she's not here. Her body may be here, but her mind is not. We're taught out of those things. Yet in that stillness and silence, we can get that spark of imagination as we get into that flow of divine guidance. We can see those exquisite moments of life that unfold with beauty and joy that make our hearts sing. We can become more curious about how life will carry on. And as we become curious, we ask those questions. And I have learned in my life, if I want the imagination, all I have to say is, I wonder, and it opens the imagination. I wonder how this experience that feels a little icky and uncomfortable today, I wonder how that will work out. And in moments, I get the inspiration, I get the ideas of how things can work out. So we need to allow ourselves to wander and to wander through the course of our imagination. So I've dared to imagine the adventures that life will take me on. What have you dared to imagine for your life? Dared to imagine and allowed the adventure to unfold, to become a unity minister, to share writings that are inspired by the divine, to be present to others on their journey with Spirit, and to be here right now, at this place, at this moment, just like you. We've been inspired by the divine to be here, to be present, and we listened, and we followed, And we took the action to be here, whether you're sitting here in the sanctuary or at home. It was divine inspiration that brings us. And that inspiration can carry us through every moment, every breath of our life, when we allow it. So what will you imagine for your life? Be still and know. Let's pause for a time of stillness and knowing. In the silence, be still and know that I am God. And hold the affirmation for yourself. I am still and I know. Be still and know I am the God of land and sky, of birds that fly and fish that swim, the animals that walk and creep upon the earth. Be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. I am God of deserts and oceans, mountains and valleys, and all humankind. Be still and know. Be still and know that I am God, in joy, in laughter, in tears and sadness. I am God in celebrations and smiles. Be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. I am God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am God who brought life into Jesus and in you. Be still and know. Be still and know. I am the God of peace and love and harmony. I am the God that unites you as one people, brothers and sisters, through all eternity and for all time. Be still and know. Together we breathe deeply, and as we breathe in that divine presence of God, and we know. And as we exhale, we return to this present moment, knowing the present moment is indeed a wonderful moment. It is so, and we allow it to become.